So what we're going to do now is that Jan is now logged into the server via SSH connection. And we're now going to identify like the file where we have stored our modules. So now we go into this environment. We set it up with something called LXC. You don't necessarily need to use it if you're running Chap, but it's very common in the HS2 environment. So if you now go into that, we have now, this is like how Chap is running. And we have several different Docker containers running side by side. We have a Postgres, which is like the database where you store evaluations and the model we have available. And also you store the prediction data before it gets imported to HS2. We have our Chap worker service, which is the one that actually run the models we ask or like request run. And we have the Chap core Chap, which is the REST API. So, and here we also have a custom model, which is a bit special case, which is a EVARS model, which have been customizable, developed for Malawi. Yeah. So what you can do now is that you can go into the worker service and edit the default.yaml file, which is the file where we store the models we have available. So now YAML is running Docker, saying go to execute or go into a container, which have this ID, and we go in with a bash shell. Yeah, I think maybe it's without the dashes. Yeah. Okay, so then we can now add the model to the default YAML file. So if you just open the default YAML file, which is in Chap core, it's in the config, probably. Configure models. But maybe actually, when I think of it, maybe we don't. We will do it before we start. Yeah, we do it before we start. So we'll learn by our mistakes. So what we're going to do now is that we don't going to go into the container and actually edit the values, but we're going to do it before we open start Chap core.
So it's usually done inside once you've run the Chap core repository. And you navigate inside the directory, and then you identify the config. Then you go to the configured models. That's why we have the default YAML file. So this is it.
Yeah. So here we have all the models we now have within Chap. You see that we have the Chap auto EVARS, we have the EVARS weekly, we have the R model. And this one is point to we have different versions here. And we can also have, here's also the path to the GitHub, your GitHub repository. And this is this is commit hashes. So if you scroll down.
So commit hashes means versions at given time.
Yeah, right. So like each commit on GitHub get a dedicated hash for it. So we can just add it and this is, for those that are not familiar with YAML, this is each of these dots here represent one item in an array or a list. So it's why we have the one dot is meaning what they have. So we could just add now a new kind of item in this list of available models. So we have the URL and we have the, we need to, can use the, we can use the, good?
Yep.
We can use the branch for a version, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we can also, instead of like pointing to a specific commit hash, we can also point to a branch. So then we can do like a new line here. And saying version like this. Yeah, and you could call this v1, and the branch should be main. Yeah, like this. And then we can just save this file. And next time we now start Chap core, we can now download that model and put it into the available models we have within Chap core.
And within the modeling app.
Yeah, and then it will be exposed to the modeling app through the REST API. Yeah.
I just wanted to know whether every time if there's a new model that has been deployed to your GitHub repo and you want to add it to your Chap, you have to like go add it to that config YAML file and then restart your instance.
Yeah, just to talk.
Yeah, the answer is yes. But we are working on kind of a solution where this is a bit more smoothly, right?
Yeah.
If that was what you're alluding to.
And you don't need to restart the HS2 instance. Just the Chap, not the other ones. Yeah. What's the topic? The alternative of ministries can be very stubborn. A direct whatever from a GitHub repo, the answer. There are ways of having a lot of folder. Maybe simply point to that and locally have that port.
You want to comment on that?
I can comment that that's a very, very good idea. So it's an officially a feature request. Yeah, that's a feature request. Yeah.
And also just to say some context for this, right? Because this kind of thing of making systems work together is how something has to be if you want to have a hope of operationalizing, right? You cannot kind of hope to have a R script that you send over to the ministry and say, could you please in the ministry run this R script on the laptops of the Ministry of Health, right? So when you want to actually deploy something, you have to have it running in a system. It has to be integrated with other systems. It has to be running inside these containers because that's the only way the ministry will allow it to run. Nobody will be allowed to run it typically raw on the servers, but only through containers and so on. And this was a bit fiddly. I mean, you said I didn't think it looked that fiddly, but it's even better because like this was a little bit of fiddling based on a setup that already have REST APIs and the configurations and authentication and all of this setup once and for any kind of model. This is not what you would want to do for every single model you develop, that after you have made that R script or Python script, now you have to kind of do everything with REST API connected to a system. And that is actually the situation as it was before. So I know that at least when we started this project, I think it was at least in 2 countries. I'm not naming any. There was an ongoing process that had been going on for like 2 years of trying to connect this a given R script to this health management system so that the data could come into the R script and could come back again. And they had worked on it for more than 2 years without succeeding. So it's a lot of work, but now we have done it once. So all the models don't need to think about this at all, right? Because the models just connect to Chap. And that you have already been able to do, right? You have seen how you integrate the model into Chap. That is very easy. And then this very complex thing of that I have no clue of how to do as a data scientist, of connecting Chap with the DHS2 system and other system, that is done once and for all, since the models just need to relate to Chap as kind of a platform and then all those complexities out there. And it's even better because as a data scientist that many of you are, because Yabansu is also kind of a server-side person and also some other here are that, there's very few. And for us that are incompetent in working with servers like me, I can just say, sorry, I have no clue. I have this URL, can you make it work for me, right? And then people that know how to do this will fix it. So for most of you, if you have a model, all you need to do is actually to send this URL to someone who have that knowledge, and they will be able to do it, like Yabansu.
Yeah. And we can just, now we're starting Chap Core. So if you go into the modeling app, yeah, then we have to wait a bit more. Yeah, one question.
Thank you. I have two questions. One being, is this URL limited only to GitHub or you can use other platform like GitLab and Bitbucket?
As long as it's a Git repository, it should be fine.
No,
maybe not.
In theory.
In theory, yeah.
And the second question to that is, the repository has to be public, right?
Yes.
But since Patrick came with a feature request 5 minutes ago, then probably in some weeks, you can just have a folder with code wherever, right? Yes. It's already in Jira. It's already in our to-do handling system.
So if we now go and open the modeling app, I don't think we use time for actually running the model, but it's just nice to see that it's available. And then we can click on new evaluation, which you can see.
It's a new model, right?
You make a new
Or check if it's in model, sorry, if you have to right here. There should be one model, no display name. No display name.
Yes, there it is. If you, yeah, no display number. So there we have it. Yeah, this will just illustrate how this process is, and then you can like that see what kind of it's only used in these cases, obviously. Yeah. So
And we could point out this also, the unknown author. And this is something that's very important to us. And this is something we want to develop ahead, right? If you develop a model and you put it inside Chat, it's not our model. We are only the kind of the broker that brings it further, right? So it will be you as the author, you to get the fame and the blame, right? And here you can put your email address or whatever, right? So that you can be contacted about the behavior of that model and how it can be improved.
Good. So, I'm understanding things clearly. It basically means that if I work on my model and I put it on the system, it's only working for me at the moment, correct? He shouldn't get access. I mean, he can see my model.
now everyone, because we configured that model for the Chap instance, which run side by side the HS2, meaning that everyone that have access to the modeling app within the HS2 also have access to that model. Yeah. So good question. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not limited to that specific user. It's level 4.
Okay, great. Can we think about maybe model developers adding some extra information there in the model, maybe talk about model accuracy and other things going on in the model, because it would be good for me to read about the model here before actually use it. So if we can understand.
Yeah, this is also something we're working on improving, is to kind of make it even easier to just follow a link to a page that describes every detail. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Then we can give a hand to Yabansu.
Yeah.
Can I give one comment?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just that.
So the easiest thing to do is to put it into the default of YAML file as we did now. But once you do a git pull then you will get some problems. But all the YAML files in that folder gets parsed. So like it's easiest to do it in that file the first time, but after a while you might want to add another YAML file that does not get parsed by these. That's the honest model.
Yes, then we switch over to the deep learning and you have to connect by Zoom.
While we are still connecting, I think first of all, I need to appreciate the work done on the Chap code. In terms of installation, it was really difficult. But with this new way, it's really not as painful as before. So I think I need to commend the developers for doing that. So kudos. And another thing that I just wanted to ask, maybe for you, Herman, was why was the Chap instance like had to be put into the LXC while it's already on Docker?
Yeah, I guess so. So the LXC was actually just because we know that when we started this, we know that a lot of countries are using LXC in their like environment when they're very early in the SS2. And because of that, it was easier to just give a guideline saying that if you're running DHS2 within an LXC container, we then recommend you to also run Chap core in LXC to align it with the existing environment, instead of have Docker running directly on the server without like an environment around it. So it was, yeah.